With the revelation that Wes Streeton has now thrown his hat into the ring and the tax-dodging child manipulator Angela Rayner is sniffing around the Premiership, it could finally, and I mean finally, signal the end for Keir Starmer. Let's be honest, in the bread and circus that is British politics, if recent history is anything to go on, then the skid mark that is Starmer will not go anywhere. Branding the entire nation as far-right and the enemy did not see him go. Neither did attacking the pensioners, cronyism allegations, the Mandelson scandal, the failure in the Grumman inquiry, and this is just naming a few, and not mentioning the many, many U-turns. The list of negative policies and actions by Keir Starmer and the Labour Party are many, and in all honesty, mind-boggling. We would all like to think, and including me, the recent elections that were held just a few short days ago, which seen Labour obliterated and losing over 1,400 seats. That really should be the final nail in the coffin. But many seem to think, and including myself, that Slippery Starmer will survive this also. The only thing that is true is for the average Briton on the streets, it will make absolutely no difference if he stays or if he goes. Think about it. If he does eventually go, then we will still have the same dishonest communist Labour government. Simply the change in the captain is not going to alter the trajectory of the Labour ship. We are still heading for that iceberg. And to be honest, a change in leadership might even be worse than it currently is. Yes, believe it or not, that is possible. As a nation, we should be using this opportunity and calling for a general election. Not sat quietly waiting to see if his own party is going to oust him, just so they can then stuff a different monkey into the same suit. Tell me, if Wes Streeton, or heaven forbid, Angela Rayner, or even Loopy Ed Miliband were to become Prime Minister, what do you think will really change? Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. It will still be the same policies, the same rhetoric, over and over again. But on that, Keir Starmer has put out his reset speech, and I come across it this morning, and I want to go through it with you guys. Now, I'm going to go through it in its entirety. You know me. And yes, I'm going to keep stopping it and putting this little weasel right. And I've got a feeling there's going to be quite a few pauses in this, so let's flip over to that now. I'm sorry, but I've waited to watch this so I can go through it with you. And I know this is me. You should know me by now. If you don't know me by now, you know I'm going to pause it at places. I'm going to try and not do it as much as I normally do, but yeah, we'll see how that works out, because I want to see if Keir Starmer's got the message, because we sent them a very deliberate message on the 7th of May. I'm going to get the impression that he's not learned, judging by his recent appointments right after the local elections, his excuses for not leaving right after the local elections. So I've got a feeling this is going to be painful, but we'll watch it and we'll go through it.
That's
How bad can it be? Yeah?
I'm pleased to introduce the man who delivered the first Labour government in a generation and has fought all his life for justice and fairness, the Prime Minister and the leader of our party, Keir Starmer.
That's great. That's really great. Thank you.
What a smarmy kid he is, isn't he? Really fucking smarmy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thank you, Jay. They were such powerful words. Thank you for that introduction. The election results last week were tough. Very tough.
But have you learned anything? That's the important thing. Did you learn from them election results, Keir? I'm going to guess no. I don't have much hope for this speech at all. Yeah, I just don't.
We lost some brilliant Labour representatives. That hurts. And it should hurt. I get it. I feel it. And I take responsibility.
But do you though, Keir? Do you really take responsibility? I'm going to bet you're not. These are just words to you, and the not even your words, Keir. These are words scripted for you. You can't even make your own statements. You can't do anything. You clown.
But it's not just about taking responsibility for the results. It's about taking responsibility to explain how, as a political and electoral force, we will be better and do better in the months and years ahead.
Down in the comments right now, do you think this is going to be a beneficial statement for the UK? Do you think this speech is going to do any good for the UK? Or do you really think, this is where I'll lean, that we're going to see no change at all? In fact, judging by his response when he got beat, I'm half expecting him to double down, if I'm honest, but we'll see. I might be surprised.
Because we are not just facing dangerous times, but dangerous opponents.
Why are we facing dangerous times, Keir? That's an interesting statement, that, because we are facing dangerous times, and whether it's economical or for safety, protection of the people, and such as job security, why are we facing tough times? Simple question.
Very dangerous opponents.
And this is what he's going to do. He's going to blame other parties again. You know, this guy, you got beat by those opponents. You never once asked the question, why did I get beat by these opponents? What did they do that I didn't? What did they offer that I didn't?
This hurts not just because Labour has done badly, but because if we don't get this right, our country will go down a very dark path.
Our country is already down a very dark path. You took us down that dark path. You led us there. In fact, you created the dark path. So, come on, Keir.
So just as I take responsibility for the results, I also take responsibility for delivering the change that we promised, for a stronger and fairer Britain that we must build. I take responsibility for navigating us through a world that is more dangerous than at any time in my life. And I take responsibility for not walking away, not plunging our country into chaos, as the Tories did time and again, chaos that did lasting damage to this country.
I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. You leaving, Keir, would not plunge this country into chaos. You are the chaos. You narcissistic son of a bitch. Everything wrong with this country in its current state is because of you.
A Labour government would never be forgiven for inflicting that on our country again.
Oh, champagne, boy. I'd love some, thank you. This tastes like baby tears. We'll not go down that avenue yet.
I know that people are frustrated by the state of Britain, frustrated by politics, and some people frustrated with me.
All the people.
I know I have my doubters, and I know I need to prove them wrong, and I will. So let me start on a personal note. Like every Prime Minister, I've learned a lot in the first 2 years in the job.
Apart from delivering for the country, because he's done none of that. Nearly 2 years in power, and he hasn't delivered one beneficial thing for the country or the people. Not one. In 2 years. The so-called 14 years of destruction. Not once in nearly 2 years has this guy tried to fix any of that. Not once.
In terms of the policy challenges that our country faces, incremental change won't cut it. On growth, defence, Europe, energy. We need a bigger response.
You do, because everything you've just mentioned there, growth, defence, Europe, these are all things you've done wrong here. There is no growth. You and your little mathematically challenged lapdog have ruined the economy. You haven't a clue what you're doing with the economy. You have not invested in defence, despite all the promises of investing in defence. You are cozying up to Europe, trying to get back in their pants, when democratically, and I'm going to say that clear, Keir. That was a tongue twister for me. I'm going to say it clear, Keir. Democracy. I know it is a word you're not familiar with, and it makes you feel dirty. But when a country democratically decides to leave a institution, a detriment to the UK, like the EU, that is the UK people using their voice through a democracy which you have to follow. Now, getting back into bed with Europe, where is the democracy in that? If you want to get back into bed with Europe, Keir, why don't you go through the proper channels and create a referendum? Even though, if I'm honest, I don't agree with that, we've already won. But you know what? I'll meet you halfway. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Because I'm fairly confident now that despite your rhetoric of it was the worst thing we ever did, it wasn't, by the way. Leaving the EU was the best thing we ever did. The only thing that made it a problem was the botched way we left, and the fact that we still take on all of the rule sets and the laws from the EU. We haven't dropped the EU. We still follow in their diktats. That is what the problem is in the UK. And when you hear about growth in the EU, our growth is stunted because we left the EU. How's the EU's economy going? What's the economy like in the EU? Is it good, is it? Are they fair and well? Are they doing brilliant?
Than we anticipated in 2024. Because these are not ordinary times.
Say that again.
And this is a political challenge just as much as it's a policy challenge. Delivery is, of course, essential, but it's not sufficient on its own to address the frustration that voters feel. We're battling reform and the Greens, but
it's not battling, mate. Right now, I really hate to say this, but the Greens and Reform are battling. You, my funny little reptilian friend, are on the sidelines watching.
At a deeper level, we're battling the despair on which they prey, despair that they exploit and amplify.
Right. This is a dig for mainly Reform, because Reform took most of their seats in the recent local elections. Yes, the Greens took some. Greens, what are you doing? People of the world, people of the country, what are you doing voting for Greens? You do know he's a maniac. Half the members, most of the members, are maniacs. We have a Green Party candidate member that has got into power and from a local level is going to deal with Palestine from a local councillor level. Is that in your best interests? UK? Yeah, they're Greens. You've manipulated the electorate all the way. Every step of the way, Keir.
And so analysis matters, but argument matters more. Evidence matters.
What do you know about evidence? What do you know about truth? What do you know about facts? You are the guy that sees nothing, does nothing, knows nothing. You're the only leader in the world that is ill-informed on every level. Let's go back to the Peter Mandelson thing. You knew how important the security checks were on Peter Mandelson, right? You knew the controversy. In all that time between appointing him and to the point where the truth come out, all of that time, with all the controversy going on around it, you never once investigated into them checks. Never once said, somebody get me them files. I want to see what happened. You're a liar, Keir. A pure-born liar. Even if you are a narcissistic robot. If there was controversy around me and I said something and there was paperwork because we had checks to clear my name, I would request that paperwork. And I would go over it. And you didn't. You're a liar. You knew. You pressured them to pass the checks. And you know you did. You should have been ejected from Parliament on that very case. You misled Parliament. But we all know Parliament is a corrupt piece of shit. It's a rotten cesspool of fucking corruption. That's all Parliament is.
But so too does emotion. Stories beat spreadsheets.
Stories beat spreadsheets. So, I've sort of lost track because I kept on pausing it, but I've just come in there. Stories beat spreadsheets. Are you saying rhetoric beats facts? If you have spreadsheets, you've got numbers on there. You've got factual numbers, what's being tracked. And you're going to tell me that stories are more important than them. And that's how you run our country.
People need hope. So we will face up to the big challenges. And we will make the big arguments, the Labour case, that only Labour values and Labour policies can ensure our country not only weathers these storms, but emerges stronger and fairer.
It was Labour policies that created the fucking storms. This
and the
guy.
Labour case, that neither Nigel Farage nor Zach Polansky offers our country the serious progressive leadership that these times demand.
Progressive. There's that bloody buzzword, isn't it? Progressive. Do you know why they don't? Wait, Polansky offers that progressive avenue, but no, reform. Reform, you don't know where reform stands anymore, to be honest. Are they right? Are they left? Are they centre? Are they in the same planet? We don't know. All I do know is they're kicking your ass.
Of course, like every government, we've made mistakes. But we got the big political choices right. I mean, if we'd listened to the advice of other parties, right now we'd be stuck in a standoff with Iran, having been dragged into a war that is not in our interest, and I will never do that.
Because you haven't got the balls, Keir. That's why. You do not have the balls to join that war. And even if we did, we don't have the defence, do we? We don't have the armed forces. We don't have the resources.
We have invested in our public services, in people, in the pride of Britain's communities.
All right, I was going to say you had me lost then. Yes, invested in the train drivers. Yeah. The mosques. Yeah. I'm struggling. Train drivers, mosques. Ukraine. Climate change. What else have you invested in?
Difficult decisions funded that. But now, NHS waiting lists are coming down. Child poverty is coming down.
When you make these claims, Keir, do you have documentation? Do you have facts? Do you have figures to back these claims up? Because I don't see child poverty going down. I don't see NHS waiting list coming down. In fact, I'm on the NHS waiting list. I've been on there for about 6 months now, waiting for an appointment for a specialist. I haven't seen anyone. I haven't had a letter through. So if you're going to make statements, especially serious statements like this, I think it's time the UK people demanded proof instead of just empty words.
Immigration is coming down.
Immigration is the highest it's ever been. Would you say that more people are breaking into this country under Keir Starmer? Especially now, the weather's picked up as well. Is immigration up or is it down? Is he right or is he wrong? Is he telling the truth, or is he telling porkies again?
And we are rebuilding from the ground up. They were the right calls. And most of all, we stabilised the economy.
Oh, for fuck's sake, guy. See, this is what I mean. We need proof. These are blatant lies. The economy is not stabilised, you fucking...
The fundamentals are sound, and that matters because it puts us in a much better place to come out of the conflict in Iran stronger and fairer, and for living standards to improve after 2 decades of stagnation. But that's not enough, clearly. No.
Nice.
For the British people, tired of a status quo that has failed them,
I think that's the buzzword of the week, isn't it? Status quo. Whatever you want to do, whatever you need.
change cannot come quickly enough.
And there he is again with change. I'm sorry, I know I'm pausing all the time. It's just, every time he opens his mouth, he's a walking contradiction.
And truth be told, I'm not sure that they believe that we care. I'm not sure they believe that we see their lives. That's tough to say. When you come from a working class background like me, it's hard to hear that. Because
you did not come from a working class background. Your father was a tool maker, obviously. He did not work in a tool factory. He owned the tool factory. You were not working class. You knew the working class because they made you the money. I don't believe you lived on a council estate. I don't believe you had a poor upbringing where you struggled to pay bills. I really don't. And you've got to drop these lies, Keir. You really, really do. Because the people are going to really start checking into you. Because you need fact-checking. Seriously. With so many lies, you need to be out of office just for that. We know politicians lie, you know. But you lie about literally everything.
I do know what it's like to struggle and to strive. But what I take from it is that I've spent too much time talking about what I am doing for working people and not enough time talking about why or who I stand for.
Because you're not there for the working people. You're not helping the working people. And you are not standing for or by the working people. You are using the working people to fund your diverse Britain. You are using the hard-working money from hard-working men and women to pay those who break into the country for not working.
Because I can see how hard life has been during these decades of crisis.
Decades of crisis, yes. It's been hard for the past 20 years, but it's been a fucking nightmare for the last 2 years, Keir. Just swap the decades of whatever it is, whatever buzzword you're putting in, and just replace the 2 decades with 2 years. That's all you need to do, and then we know what you mean.
I can see that very clearly. My late brother, Nick, spent all his adult life going from one job to the next. The status quo did not work for him. My sister is a carer, working long hours on low pay, year after year after year.
Welcome to the real world.
She didn't even get sick pay.
You're the Prime Minister of the UK. Couldn't you make things better for your sister in anywhere at all? No, you're just like, fuck that bitch. You can struggle on doing the care and shit. I'm living all right, mate. I'm on 150 odd grand a year. Plus, I've got Lord Ali funding me whatever I want. If I want a new suit, if I want to go to Arsenal. And my wealth and the wealth of my cabinet has just skyrocketed in 2 years. Even though we're on less than 200 grand a year. But certainly the likes of Angela Rayner has blown from a working class lass who was a carer to being a councillor for a bit on a councillor's salary. And then 2 years in office at what, 150, 160 grand a year? Now suddenly she's worth 4.8 million. Okay. You can tell that Rachel Reeves did the math on that.
Yeah, the math works. 150,000, 160,000, 76,000, yeah, 4.8 million.
In the pandemic, the status quo did not work for her.
I thought status quo were all about whatever you want, whatever you need.
Too long we've ignored people like that. And there are millions of people in that boat. Millions of...
Your turn of words. There are millions of people in that boat. When it comes to the people you want to help, try not adding in that boat to the end of it, and you wouldn't get ridiculed half as much.
People who don't get the dignity, the respect, the chance that they deserve to go as far as their talent and effort should take them. Millions of people held back because the status quo in this country does not work for them. I am fighting for them. We are fighting for them.
For who? Who are you fighting for, Keir? Not us. All the ones in the same boat. Yeah.
I am their Prime Minister and this is their government.
Then that statement makes more sense, doesn't it? And the passion behind it.
Because I know whose side I'm on. I'm on the side of working people just like my sister. People who work harder and harder, but who worry about the cost of living.
The same people he keeps on screwing over and then putting on the unemployment system. The exact same people. This is them he's caring for.
They're not asking for the world. They just want to do the best for their kids. They want their town centres, the places they care about, to thrive. Their public services to work. And people in power to see their problems. And right now, they're worried sick.
Why? What's the matter with our town centres? Just going to leave that there.
They turn on the TV, they see bombs falling. They go to the petrol station, see prices rising, and they...
I check it, turning on the TV, seeing bombs falling. That doesn't bother. That's nothing to do with Britain, is it? Don't turn on your TV. In fact, grab hold of your TV and throw the bastard out the window. It's nothing but poison on there anyway. But when you see the prices going up at the gas station, your first instinct should not be blame the Iran war. Your first instinct should be blame Labour, because it is all Labour's tariffs that's on that. More than half of the money you pay per gallon goes directly to Labour, not the oil itself. They've got that much revenue in oil. They've got that much revenue in everything, to be fair. I said this before. I'm a smoker, and if I get a pack of baccy from abroad, if I go on holiday, I mean, it'll cost 5.7 euros. And if I were to buy the same pack in the UK, that same pack would cost me £48. So everything's about revenue. If they took the revenue off your petrol and your diesel, then they would be doing you a favour. Ask them why they haven't done that. And they let you pay for the Iran war and their mistakes in it.
Think, how is this happening to us again? They say, how can I be paying the price for a war thousands of miles away that I don't support, that Britain isn't involved in?
Yeah. You sad, pathetic little reptile. We've been doing that for years. Ukraine, anybody? It's a war that the people aren't interested in, not bothered by. We know it's a financial war. It's all about money laundering. That's all that Ukraine conflict is. How many billions have you given to your pal Zelensky? Of our money, taxpayers' money. How many billions, Keir? It's not a war we're invested in. It's not a war we're interested in. It's not a war we care about. Because it is a pseudo-war. So when you talk about Iran and shoot other people down for doing exactly what you've been doing and are doing right now, you were meeting with Zelensky just, was it last week or week before, giving him more money. Where's the difference? You are a walking contradiction.
And it's not a new feeling, is it? For 2 decades, our country has been buffeted by crisis after crisis. The 2008 financial crash, the Tory austerity that followed it, Brexit, COVID, the Ukraine war, on and on it goes.
Financial crash. What other shit he said? COVID and Ukraine war and whatever it was. Yet the country was still functioning after all of them, Keir. The country functioned fine after all of them. Yet you come into power less than 2 years ago and the country is on its fucking knees. So this country, it weathered the financial crash of 2008. It weathered the Ukraine, even though you give all of our money away. And so did the last lot, to be fair. It weathered COVID, the pandemic that was and shouldn't have been. The UK weathered all of that. And all of that passed. Now, what we have is in July of 2024, we did not know, well, some of us had foresight, the sensible people who warned not to vote for Labour, they did not know that 2008, Ukraine, COVID, and whatever it is, austerity, 14 years of austerity, that's the one. Now, no one knew that that was nothing compared to what you were about to inflict on the people. And bear in mind, Keir, you've had no pandemic. You've had no real conflict. I know you keep jumping on the bandwagon for Iran, pretending that you're doing something about it when you're not. We've had no conflict. We've had no financial crash. We've had no pandemic. Yet you have fucked the country beyond what any of them ever did. Now, the Tories were bad, but at least the Tories started rectifying the ship. Then you jump on and strip the ship down, and that's where the country is. No conflict, no nothing, and you fuck it up.
And the response is always the same. A desperate attempt to get back to the status quo, a status quo that failed working people time and again.
Says him.
Our response this time must be different. A complete break. We must make this country stronger, take control of our economic security, our energy security, our defence security, and we must make this country fairer. Strength through fairness. That is my compass in this world. It is a core Labour argument. And in the coming days, you will see those values writ large in the King's speech.
Values. Labour values. Oh, that's a good one.
And you will see hope, urgency, and exactly whose side we're on reflected in everything we say and everything we do.
We'll be the judge of that, Keir. I'm still waiting for these resets. I've got a list of things I want to see. I've got a list of things I want to hear. And so far, I've got a list of what you've said. You haven't mentioned any of the things I'm waiting for. Or if you have, you've mentioned them in a negative light. So
let me give you 3 examples today. Starting with British Steel. Because what we did in Scunthorpe last year is one of the proudest things we have done in government. That plant was hours away from closure, and that is thousands of jobs gone. An entire region decimated, Britain's security exposed. And so we acted. Parliament was in recess, but it didn't matter. As a united Labour Party, we passed emergency legislation and we took control. And we must bring that same urgency to everything now.
Was that not a reform policy? Reform want to nationalise British Steel, don't they? I think that's a reform policy. I'm sure it is. I'll double check that.
Starting, appropriately enough, with Scunthorpe. Because steel is the ultimate sovereign capability. Strong nations in a world like this need to make steel. That's why we're backing steel in Port Talbot and across the UK. But in Scunthorpe, we've been negotiating with the current owner, and a commercial sale has not been possible. And now a public interest test could be met. So I can announce that legislation will be brought forward this week to give the government powers, subject to that public interest test, to take full national ownership of British Steel.
It is reforms policy. Come on, Keir. Think of something you can do for yourself. Come on, you can do it. You've got a think tank, haven't you? You've got loads of lefty liberals in there. The Fabian Society. Surely you can think of your own policies that are beneficial.
Public ownership in the public interest. Urgent government on the side of working people, making Britain stronger with the hope of industrial renewal. That is a Labour choice.
Sure it is.
Second example, Europe. And I'm sorry, but I need to take a bit of a detour on this, because I want to remind you what Nigel Farage said about Brexit. He said it would make us richer. Wrong. It made us poorer. He said it would reduce migration. Wrong. Migration went through the roof. He said it would make us more secure. Wrong again. It made us weaker. He took Britain for a ride, and unlike the Tories, actually, who at least had to face up to it, he just fled the scene. And now he'll talk about almost anything other than the consequences of the one policy he actually delivered.
He's going to fucking do it, isn't he? Brexit fucking worked. You lot budged it up. We are better off without you. He's going to get us back in fucking Europe here. That... Reset. He's not reset anything. He is doubling down on the policies he already had. He hasn't heard the message from the people. He does not give a flying fuck what the people say. He's going to get on with his mandate, his diktats, his orders. Starmer about ready for orders. He hasn't heard a fucking thing. He is doubling down on everything he was doing before. Everything that goes against you and me. Everything we voted against. We use our voice. This is what I keep on saying. The illusion of democracy no longer works. We cannot fix this system with a voice.
Because he's not just a grifter, he is a chancer. And so at the next EU summit, I will set a new direction for Britain. The last government was defined by breaking our relationship with Europe. This Labour government will be defined by rebuilding our relationship with Europe.
Okay, yeah, fuck off. Just fuck right off now. Get out of my parliament. Get out of my fucking country. You fucking treacherous piece of fucking shit.
By putting Britain at the heart of Europe, so that we are stronger on the economy, stronger on trade, stronger on defence, you name it. Because standing shoulder...
Yeah, because Europe's strong, isn't it? Europe's economy is strong, isn't it? Absolutely fucking pathetic. I'm not going to lie, guys. That's really knocked me right off. This motherfucker doesn't learn. You know, he needs dragging. He physically needs dragging up with number 10.
Shoulder to shoulder with the countries that most share our interests, our values, and our enemies. That is the right choice for Britain. That is the Labour choice.
Well, if that's the Labour choice, you've made your bed, and it might be the Labour choice, Keir, but the people have spoken. It's not the people's choice. I keep on saying, and this is how frustrated I am when I get wound up. I cannot help it. I really cannot. I get. There we go again. I better not say anything because I'm going to get knocked at the door at 3 o'clock in the morning and get arrested for free speech violations.
And for our young people,
Don't you
also
dare.
something more. Because Brexit snatched away their ability to work, to study, and to live easily in Europe.
You snatched away their ability to fucking do anything in this country. You literally put them in physical danger each and every day. You fucked up with the education system. You've got them thinking that they can be fucking fire engines if they want to be. And like I said before, you've got them sexually active at young ages. You've got them sexually confused. You've got them not knowing who the fuck they are, what they are. And those who do know who they are, they then guilted because they told you the wrong thing. Don't you dare talk about children, you...
That's why I'm proud we restored the Erasmus scheme. But I want to go further. I want to make a better offer for our young people. Restore that hope, that freedom, that sense of possibility. And so I want an ambitious youth experience scheme to be at the heart of our new arrangement with the EU, so that our young people can work and study and live in Europe, a symbol of a stronger relationship and a fairer future with our closest allies. That is the Labour choice. And third, the greatest hope. The hope that every parent has of a better future for their children. And I want parents to feel that that is shared by their government. Now, my parent, don't worry, I'm not going there. But they didn't have a lot of money.
Lies.
And my mum was seriously ill for almost all of her life. But when they were in their later years...
I bet she's proud. I bet she was proud, whatever. I bet the regretting the decisions somewhat.
Reflecting on what gave their life meaning, I could see that, as well as their hope in us, their kids, what comforted them was the idea that they had contributed to a Britain that was getting better for young people.
Yeah, we've seen their contribution. The fucker there. Not better for young people. The young people, definitely not.
That kids now had a better opportunity than they did. And so I have always been driven by the idea that every child should go as far as their talent or effort takes them. It's a beautiful idea, shared widely across this country.
By who?
We tell ourselves stories about it, don't we? Stories, not unlike mine, about the working class kids who do make it. And I don't blame people for telling those stories. It's important to tell those stories. But it's not everyone, is it? So when I say every child should have the opportunity to go as far as their talent or effort takes them, I mean every child. I mean the kids who are growing up in poverty, the kids who have special educational needs, the kids who can't get a job, and the kids who are ignored, frankly, because society often only puts those who go to university on a pedestal. We don't really see anything else as success. And that is wrong. deeply wrong. So we will go much further on our investment in apprenticeships, in technical excellence colleges, in special educational needs.
All right. Right, I wasn't really paying attention there, if I'm honest. He was just droning. But I heard universities and then apprenticeships. One, university is pointless nowadays because you can take 5 years out and go to university and better yourself or try to better yourself. Yeah, you go for a job and you're going to get beaten out by someone who plays a special card, whether it be race or sexuality or women. You know, you are never going to get a job over a black gay woman that used to be a man. You know, that person's going to get the job above anybody else in this day and age. And I'm sorry that's so flippant, but that's the country we live in. That's the state of the country. But I heard universities, then I heard apprenticeships. And I know that one of Restore's policies is lessen the funding on universities and start funding more into apprenticeships. So I'm going to go back because he stole Reform's policy of nationalising British Steel and what's left of it. And now he seems to be stealing Restore's policy of removing some of the funding from university and putting it into apprenticeships. Like I said, I was a little bit zoned out, if I'm honest. I apologise, but
we will make sure that every young person struggling to find a job will get a guaranteed offer of a job, training or work placement. And
how are you going to guarantee them jobs when there's not going to be that many employers left after Labour? There are very few employers left.
And we will go much further with our Pride in Place programme. Back the millions of people who give their time and their effort to young people in their community. We will back them, not just with money, but with power. And we will make sure that kids whose talent lies with their hands, kids who go to college, kids ignored by the status quo, because politicians' kids don't go there. They will finally get the respect that they deserve in a stronger, fairer Britain. That is the Labour choice. These are just a few examples, but they show the urgency and hope in our direction. They show the Labour values we will be guided for. And they show, frankly, the lessons that we will learn. Now, other parties will draw different lessons. In fact, they already are. They want more grievance politics, more division, more pointing at Britain's problems, looking not for solutions, but for someone to blame.
Right, he's explaining himself again here and then putting the blame onto other parties. Any other party out there, it is your responsibility to point at Britain's problems. That is literally your job, to point at Britain's problems. And if them problems aren't being fixed by the relative people, then you call it out, you criticise. That is your job. Ignore this twat. He hasn't a clue. A blame game as well. He hasn't changed anything. The 7th of May has taught him nothing. He is stuck in default operation mode. They haven't updated his software. He's still running pre-May 7th. He hasn't learnt a fucking thing. Not one. All the rhetoric he was spewing back then and all the policies he was trying to enact, he's doing exactly the same now. Same rhetoric, same policies, same blame game, same Keir Starmer.
Now, that's fine if it's me, if it's politicians, that's the job. But increasingly, it's not. It's other people in this country. And I don't think that's British.
So we've now gone from blaming other parties to back to blaming the people. Is this guy serious? In August of 2024, he branded the entire indigenous British people who didn't think like him as far-right racist thugs. The enemy, if you like. And now, because he's butthurt that he got his ass kicked in the local elections, he's now turned to blaming the people. Well, I want you to realise that these people he's blaming are not just the same people he blamed before, those who were deemed on the right, which by that, anyone that disagreed with him. He has now turned against his old voters because they've defected to Reform and some to the Green Party. Now he's lumping all them in with the far-right rhetoric as well, by the looks of it. Fancy fucking up the country so bad, then blaming the people. This is what I mean. This guy, he doesn't have a soul. He really doesn't. He doesn't have any awareness. He doesn't have any clue. He come on the other day. The people are upset because they haven't seen change fast enough and this, that and the other. And then he comes out a couple of days later and just blames all the people for his failings. He used to blame parties. He used to blame Reform for a lot of it, then the Conservatives. And now he just defaulted to blaming the people. This guy is something else. He really is. An absolute piece of shit.
That is not the decency and respect that we are known for. But it's here. That politics is with us now. And you'll see it again on Saturday at a march designed to confront and intimidate this diversity and this diverse country.
Yeah, I'm done with the guy. I'm absolutely fucking done. Still holds the people as the enemy. Still trying to get back into bed with Europe, the EU. Still blaming the marchers as far right and a threat to his diverse fucking Britain. Keir Starmer, you are an absolute piece of shite. And as far as speeches go, this was a car crash. It really was. If you thought any of this was going to win people over, you done gone fucked up big time. You really have. Because I'll be honest, I don't know about you guys out there, but I'm sat here and I can feel the rage building and building and building. I didn't expect much from this speech, I'll be honest, I didn't. But I expected a little bit of something. To offer the people something that he was going to do right. You know, a little bit of hope. But he hasn't. He's negated the hope and instead just doubled down on his rhetoric. And when he talks about the march, look, the point is that last year we had a fantastic march. We had record numbers that showed their solidarity with the rest of the British people in the UK. Now, following the local elections, and we can now see how many people are fed up with this guy. I hope, and I really do, on May 16th, I want to see double or triple what we had last year. And these marches, guys, if you're on the fence about these marches, they are not far right. They are far from far right. They are people who think like you do. They are people who look at the state of the world and realise there is no way of fixing it. So these marches are our voice. They are to alert the powers that be, Parliament, the monarchy, the government themselves. It's pointless going for the government because they are clueless. They are narcissistic, tone deaf, unaware pieces of shit. But en masse, we can't be ignored. But I'm going to level with you. We need to be en masse. We need to be together on this. Otherwise, the message isn't going to get through. We sent a message on the 7th. He hasn't got it. We need to send a message so loud that they can't fail to ignore it. They can't fail not to get it. And they cannot sugarcoat it in something it's not. Because I don't know what message they've got. Obviously, we sent a message saying enough is enough, we've had enough of you. And what he received was beep, bop, beep. Right, we're not moving fast enough. Forward with the tyranny. That's the message they got. And as for this, I don't know if you're aware. Many of you who watch this kind of content will be aware that Tommy Robinson has some speakers coming to the UK. They literally just come in to stand on stage and say their piece. And they've been denied visas just for visiting the UK because they are not conducive to the good of the country. From the same government, the same people who allow people daily en masse that are breaking into our country and settling, terrorising our Jewish community, terrorising our women, our children, our people. He can't stop that, apparently. Even though it's easy. First of all, stop advertising to them. But he can stop someone he considers far right from even visiting the country. Make it make sense. This is an attack on democracy. This is an attack on the people. If you can't see that, then you really need to have a word with yourself. You really do. The world is changing. And where it's going to go, I don't know. But it can't be much worse than here. But the challenge is going to be how we get there. And how we get to a future in this country depends on these. Because it can either be peaceful or it can be violent. Now these seem intent on pushing for violence. And I've got a feeling they keep pushing, they're going to get it. They're going to get exactly what they want, you snivelling little shit.
That is why this Labour government will block far-right agitators from travelling to Britain for that event. Because we will not allow people...
You know, Keir Starmer, you can say what the fuck you want, but whatever them people are going to say on stage, we already know. They are preaching to the choir. But even if we didn't know, do you think you're going to stop it? Do you think we're not going to have a big screen and have them say their piece over the big screen? And the very loud speakers. Do you think you're smart? Do you think you're muting their voice? You ain't. You're just making their voice louder because what this shows is that you are afraid. You are into partisan politics. You do not want to hear the opposition. You have to hear the opposition, and you will hear the opposition. So you will not stop it. And people have to ask the question, what is he afraid of? Why is he trying to stop people coming and just saying words, yet has no power to stop people coming and causing atrocities in this country? Where does he stand? And to a lot of the lefty loonies, seriously, contemplate that question. And if you come to the same conclusion you always do, then there's no help for you. I don't blame you for the way you think. They are very powerful with the way they indoctrinate. But it's not too late to make the right choice. And to be honest, everybody in this nation, no matter your political leanings, your religion or what, you know, we're fighting against the same thing, these guys. It is these that are putting us against each other. It's as simple as that.
To come to the UK, to threaten our communities, and spread hate on our streets. This is nothing less than a battle for the soul of our nation. And I want to be crystal clear about how we will win it.
Do you think you're going to win? Do you seriously think you're going to win? The guy with no soul is going to battle for the soul of the entire nation. I think not.
Because we cannot win as a weaker version of Reform or the Greens. We can only win as a stronger version of Labour, a mainstream party of power, not protest.
Like I said, guys, they're not going to win because they can only win as a stronger version of Labour. And since the 7th of May, Labour has never been so weak. So, if that's how they're going to win, good luck.
And I also want to be really clear on this, because I will never stop fighting for the decent, respectful, diverse country that I love. I will never give up on the hope we can unlock in this country.
You know what, Keir? You can fight for that diverse country that you love. That's not the country we live in. We will fight for our country. Same geographical location, different ways of viewing it. We view it as it is. You view it as you want it.
The hope of renters for security in their home, of workers for fairness at work, of public services freed from austerity, the hope of European solidarity, of community pride, of the people who paint over the graffiti that is racist, a country taking control of its future, our spirit unchanged, our resolve unbroken, the hope of a country that can and will become a stronger, fairer Britain. That is the hope I'm fighting for. That is the hope we are fighting for. That is the Labour choice. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, Well, I'm angry. Let's go into the conclusion, shall we? Yeah, so guys, there we have it. Keir Starmer's reset speech, which was essentially supposed to be an apology to the nation, wasn't it? But I've took some notes, little bits he missed and stuff like this. Now, one, there was no mention of a reset on anything. It was just, I am great, I'm doing a brilliant job, you just don't recognise it. I'm trying to change your country and you're stopping me. That's pretty much you got of it. But there was no mention of the crime in the UK, certainly knife crime and sexual assaults. Not one mention of them. And that's one thing that the people are fed up of. And the next thing, which probably is going to be on the top, this one, of people's problems, is no mention on illegal immigration at all. He's pretty much not acknowledged anything he's done wrong. Nothing at all. I know I keep aiming, but I'm looking for something positive from this, and there's nothing. The steal, which wasn't his policy. It was Reform's policy. The bad guys, apparently, but he'll still steal their policies because he's got none. The same as Restore Britain's, when he mentioned universities. And Restore Britain, certainly, they want to lessen the funding on universities and fund more of apprenticeships. And Keir Starmer seems to have stolen that. So no crime, no illegal immigration, no immigration at all. You know, this isn't a reset. This was just doubling down on what he was already doing. This is what he's done. Just double down on his commie destruction of the UK. That's it, plain and simple. He hasn't understood. I said the other day, he hasn't got the message. He's got the wrong message. And I hoped by now that he would get the right message, but apparently not. He's not hearing it. And when I say doubling down, he's openly coming out and saying that he's worming his way back into the EU, which is a big fuck you to the voters. Democracy, people, democracy. The bit, what really, really irked me, it was not so much the blatant attack on Reform and the Greens, which you can attack the Greens because they fucking mentally disturbed, but it's the Reform attack, because he didn't just attack Reform, he attacked the voters, and not just the voters who voted for Reform before, but Reform took a large majority of Labour voters. And Keir Starmer has just come out. He's called pretty much the entire nation bad and dangerous because we don't agree with his rhetoric. We don't agree with his communistic liberal views. This is what we have. He's now doubled down. It is not just the people on the right who is now branded far right and the enemy. Now he's going against his ex-voters. And he's bundled them into the far right now as well, by the looks of it. So I told you guys, this guy has zero, and I mean zero, self-awareness. This guy does not have a clue. He is thick as pig shit. Unless he is pointed to and whispered what he has to say, where he has to go, that guy would stand on the spot or walk in circles muttering to himself. That was a car crash. It really was. That was the final nail in Keir Starmer's coffin, you know. And guys, We can sit here and argue all we like about Keir Starmer getting replaced. That's not what we want to focus on. We don't want to be quiet while everything happens in the background. Let them make the decisions. We need to be using our voice. While we've got the majority of the Labour Party's attention, we need to be using our voice to call for a general election. Because I don't want another commie Labour MP taking up the role of Prime Minister. Because, like I said at the start, it's going to be a different monkey in the same suit. Exact same policies. They might be pushed harder or softer, but the same policies, the same rhetoric, the same direction, the same destruction of the country. While we've got their attention, we need to be calling at the top of our lungs for a general election and make them realise that we will not accept anything less. Now, I'm going to use this opportunity. It's a long, arduous process to make these videos and sit and put myself through the pain of watching this piece of shit. So if you have watched and you have enjoyed it, please leave me a like, a subscribe, just help the channel to grow, get it out to a few more people, because that's all I want to do. I want to share my unfiltered thoughts. And that's what these are, the unfiltered. I'm not an academic person. I'm not a political expert. I like commentating on politics. And this is because I feel the brunt of it. I feel the effect of it. I'm not an expert on politics, but I will give you my unfiltered views on such things that go on in the world. So please, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one, guys.